Join us today for an action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, where we review the 2023 season for the Los Angeles Angels.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, the man of many nicknames. I get confused, Matthew Ane. And you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify, we would really, really appreciate it. If you're listening at this point in the year, you're probably a fan of ours. So if you could leave us that 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify, guess what? It doesn't only help us, but you could help yourself in the sense of you get a free little chance at getting into our listener league for next season. And, get to watch how Matt and I play, get to chat it up with us. It just really means a lot if you could do that for us. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, you hit that little bell below, subscribe to the channel, also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And real quick, let me talk to you guys about FanDuel. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. So, Matt, let's hop right on into it. This Angels team, super disappointing. So much talent on the team. I think there's one guy at the top. We got to talk about him first.
Yeah, it's the only guy worth mentioning this year. It's Mr. Shohei Ohtani. Shohei, unfortunately, to end the season and give up the MVP race, it got TJ, unfortunately, obviously shut him down for, for pitching and then eventually hitting. I guess he finally said, yo, I'm just not doing it. We're not making a playoff run. Why risk my health? Let me just go get the surgery, which I don't blame him. It's not like they were playing for a playoff spot or they were anywhere near close to it. So, Shohei was about time he left and got that done. Now, the thing is, what is Shohei's expectation for when he'll be back? Well, I got it about 2 months earlier than Bryce Harper. So there's a fair chance that he might play at the end of April, beginning of May is when we probably will first see him. But where is the question? Does he return to the Angels? Does he go to the Dodgers? Does he go to the Yankees? Does he go to the Astros or even the Rangers for that matter? I mean, all teams are going to be in on him, and where he's going to land is going to dictate, obviously, how good he's going to be. He's going to be good no matter where he is, but quite honestly, where is the question? If he goes to the Rangers, by God, they're going to win. They're going to win a World Series. Goes to the Dodgers, I'm not surprised. If he goes to the Yankees, I'll be surprised. But I think those are the two top teams. And then probably a couple other underdogs are going to go and get into that race and see what they can get. Ohtani, no matter what, is going to be valuable. Now, we also got to look at what this injury did to Bryce Harper because he's the perfect prime example. Power bat to power bat guy. And I know obviously Harper doesn't have as much power as Ohtani does, but they both hit a lot of home runs. And it took Harper about 2.5 months, 3 months to really start getting going. So Ohtani, it may take the same. So he may not be good till about June, where we can start seeing that true Ohtani numbers. Now, he could be the exception to the rule. He could be, a whole nother level of just healing. Who knows what he goes and does to his body or how long he decides to take off if he says, I'm going to just wait a little bit longer to be full strength. A lot of things can happen. So with Shohei Ohtani, we'll see. But I think, honestly, this year will be the year you get him at a discount because I don't foresee him going in the first round. One, based off of, obviously, availability because he's probably going to be starting the year on the IL. Two, I also feel that Ohtani is probably going to have some of those, grumblings of what I was just talking about of not performing well. And three, just the unknown of what that can be. So with Ohtani, I feel like he'll probably be a third round pick or late second round pick, which is, I think, fair value. and you'll be able to sneak him on your team, and he'll be a beautiful second half piece to your roster. Now, in terms of pitching, I don't think he pitches at all next year.
Yeah, I think they already announced that
Yeah.
Ohtani's not. His camp came out and said he's not pitching next year.
Right. And I don't even know. And this would be me. I don't know if he even decides to pitch again. You know, it's not like he has a whole bunch of like his career is just riding on his pitching because he's just a pitcher. Because he has a lot more valuable value in his arm. In his arm for batting. So I could foresee where maybe they just make that executive decision. Hey, let's just not hurt myself even more and just focus on hitting. And that could be it. And he'll still be a top pick for me, no matter what. But I think that we're going to start seeing possibly less of a pitching role in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ohtani himself said he came out and said he still wants to pitch. I mean, and actually getting out there and doing it, and whoever pays him this massive contract, if they still want him to do it, is going to be interesting. But when we're talking about Ohtani as a batter, I think we have the perfect example. Bryce Harper's a great example, but I think the perfect example is him and himself. This is his second Tommy John. He got the first one in 2018. He came back in 2019. So let's look at those 2019 stats after he got his first Tommy John. We can compare it pretty closely to that 2018 season because it was 104 games, 326 at-bats in 2018 versus in 2019, 106 games, 384 at-bats, right? So 4 less home runs in 2 more games in 2019. He had 2 more steals. The batting average was identical. The walk to strikeout ratio is pretty much identical. The runs were pretty much identical. The doubles are pretty much identical. More triples the year after he got it, the Tommy John. So I think it might sap a little bit of power, but Ohtani, a little bit of power. We're talking about 44 home runs to 38 home runs. So I honestly think Ohtani's going to be fine after, the surgery. Depending on where he lands, the counting stats are still going to be pretty good because even in a bad year for the Angels, 497 at-bats, 102 runs, 95 RBIs, 20 steals, hit 304. If you get Ohtani on your team, it's going to come out a bargain. Just the whole thing is you have to know how to supplement your draft, and you have to be ready to be active on the waiver wire and pick up these guys that come out of nowhere that are going to help propel your team and keep your team afloat while Ohtani's out. Prime example of was Bryce Harper last year. If you were able to draft him, hold him, he wound up playing pretty good down the stretch. Probably helped you get a fantasy championship. But that's a lot about Ohtani. I think you can draft him with confidence next year, even though he's going to be out for a little bit. I think even before we wasted a lot of time here on Ohtani. So even before we move on to this next guy, we're going to take a quick break, and Matt's going to talk to you about one of today's sponsors.
October baseball is back, and you can make the postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to create a new account. Then you can get in the action from first pitch until final out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs and to who will win the game. And if you don't want to wait until the game is over and get the W, predict what's going to happen in the next at bat with quick bets. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step up to the plate this postseason with a $200 bonus bet. Guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the MLB. All right. And with that being said, yeah, Dom, let's move on over. You go for it, man.
Yeah, let's try and keep things pushing here after that long-winded Ohtani talk from the both of us. Mike Trout, right? Man, he's such a tough one. Is so injury prone the last few years. They're really piling up. This year, it was the hamate bone in his left hand, which kind of had him in and out for most of the season, to be honest with you. We only got 82 games from Trout this year, 308 at-bats, 54 runs, 14 doubles, 18 homers, 44 RBIs, and a 263 batting average. Honestly, we haven't had like a full Mike Trout season since 2019. And then even in 2019, it was only 134 games and 470 at-bats, for his last 500 plus at bat season. You're talking all the way back in 2016. I mean, I have Mike Trout ranked as my 13 outfielder, but I don't even know if I'm taking him there. I'll be honest with you. I really think I just have him there to do my due diligence. I'm probably going to avoid him in most leagues because he's going to go super high because of the name value. And it's just, can we trust Mike Trout to stay healthy? Is he getting a wing in the Byron Buxton Hospital of multiple injuries? Does he have a bed next to Adalberto Mondesi in said hospital? I don't know. Matt is the master of the phalanges. Maybe he knows a little bit more than I do. Maybe he's got the insight. But honestly, I really think avoiding Mike Trout next year. And it's going to be funny to see where he goes as well. I think it could be a renewed sense of passion if he, winds up on a different team. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure he would Trout.
I'm right there with you. I mean, you had a great take there, and a lot of points just stand with me there. And I think the last part of your take is the key part. Is he on the Angels next year? Because I think that's going to be the difference of him playing a full season just based off of will he play through injuries. So like it's not about the money with Trout. Trout has all the money in the world. It's really just about his will to play. He hasn't had a will to play for a couple of years because they've just been so atrocious. So that rejuvenation of possibly being on a new team, I think is the most enticing part. So if he gets traded in the offseason to where I think he might get traded, then he will be probably somebody I'm taking everywhere. If he's on the Angels, he's going to be on my bus list.
I want to see him in Baltimore so bad. I don't know why. I'm a Yankee fan, but I really want to see
Not
Mike
happening.
Trout.
I want to
see him. I want to see him there with all those young players. They have so many that they can trade to and still have a great core. And Mike Trout, I would love to. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think if Ohtani leaves, I don't think the Angels have a choice. They have to start over. They have to trade Trout.
Yeah, and I think he's going to end up on Philly, truthfully. And
with his buddies.
Well, not even that. His family's here. He grew up 20 minutes outside of Philadelphia.
He is from New Jersey.
And he has a no trade clause. So he could pretty much say either you're trading me there or you're going to continue paying me money. So, and of course, he's friends with Bryce. He's friends with Turner. He's friends with Castellanos. So all those guys. So Mike Trout is probably going to say, yo, you're sending me here. And I could totally see Bryce Harper staying at first and possibly getting Trout mixed in the mix so he can do less of, strenuous exercising there and, possibly putting his body at risk. So Trout would be a very good fit there. And if he does end up there, it's just going to be lights out and game over. He might even move up to like my number 5 overall outfielder and probably the number 5 pick because I think he'll have that rejuvenation and actually play through injury, which I feel I'm not going to mention the name, but somebody on the New York Yankees that got the bag of money and then don't play through injuries anymore. But I'll throw that
out, guys. Haterades out in full force.
I'll throw that shade on him when we get there. But anyway, I think Mike Trout is going to be very interesting. If he doesn't move, bust list. If he does get traded, he's going to be significantly raised. But anyway, let's move on here. Let's talk about Anthony Rendon, the Locked On Fantasy Baseball embarrassment.
The new villain of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
Yeah, like quite honestly, it's at that point where I just feel betrayed. I wish I could get. I wish I can get sad music for this, but I feel betrayed. I feel like I got hyped up. I got conned. I feel like he was like my cheating ex-girlfriend. Where you give him everything, and then he just takes it out from you and just rips it out from under you. It's terrible. Anthony Rendon, just why do you gotta be hurt all the time? So ultimately, Anthony Rendon is now going to be in the fantasy basement. If you want to take a shot on with your last pick next year, go for it. That's probably where I would say he's worth a lottery ticket. But where do I actually see him? Doing caca-doo-doo. So even with a beautiful spring training, he still took an absolute duty in his big boy pants. And for that, I will say that Anthony Rendon's baseball career is pretty much done.
Yeah, if you guys are watching here on the video end of this, you just see me shaking my head no here because I'm just so over Anthony Rendon. Grind issue, wrist issue. choking out the fan on, I think it was opening day, the Oakland fan on opening day issue. Don't
I
want to
respect that though.
Yeah, but come on, man. He's been all over the place. He doesn't want to talk to the media about his injury. He doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't even want to play baseball anymore. He's the new. If you guys followed along at all this year, at all since we started, my disdain for Lucas Giolito. It has moved over to Anthony Rendon. Over it, won't take him anywhere next year. Guy's constantly hurt. Got to go back all the way to 2019 for the last time he played a full season. He's going to be 34 next year. Not drafting him anywhere next year. There's so many other places you can throw that dart. All right, let's keep things pushing. Let's talk about somebody who I have a little bit more love for. Let's talk about Taylor Ward. Now, Taylor Ward, unfortunate, when he was finally finding his groove, he got hit in the face by a pitch, and that pretty much cost him the rest of his year. Never really got right after that on the season. As I said, he was really starting to catch his groove there in the end of June, July, but just didn't have that chance. 97 games for Ward, 356 at-bats, 60 runs, 18 doubles, 14 homers, 47 RBIs, 4 steals, 253 batting average. He's going to be 30 next year. I think there is still a lot of upside here with Taylor Ward. If you remember last year, kind of breakout year for Taylor Ward, he was finally able to stay healthy for most of the year. 135 games last year for Ward, 495 at-bats, 73 runs, 22 doubles, 2 triples, 23 homers, 65 RBIs, 5 steals, 281 batting average, and a nice 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio with 60 walks, 120 strikeouts. Very, very nice. I have Taylor Ward. Where do I have him for next year? Probably a little bit too low as I'm scrolling here. Where did I put him in? I have him at 68, and I don't like that. It needs to be higher, but I'll make those adjustments. I'm still working through my rankings here. A lot of upside for Ward. Very good player. Honestly, I think he'll be you'll probably get him at a nice little bargain next year.
Yeah, Ward is interesting.
Now, what do you have? Are you looking?
I'm looking as we speak.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you had that. I'm looking at my rankings look on your face, guys. If you're here, on the YouTubes, you probably see that.
Yeah, I have him at 57.
Yeah, I got to move him up. I got to get him up.
So you start looking in that area, and it's just like, okay, there's a lot of ugly names, and it's like, okay, I'd rather have Tyler Ward over them. And then on top of that, the upside is everything you just spoke about. Him getting hot, and then just is having his face absolutely decimated by like 100-mile-per-hour ball, really will do it to somebody. So, ultimately, I think he should have a nice season. I like what we saw from him the year before he got injured as well. Tyler Ward, I think, just has all the potential in the world, just can't stay healthy. But he's starting to give me that. He's not as bad as Alberto Mondesi, but he might as well be Byron Buxton. So, you look at his career and you go back at how many at-bats he generally had and how many games he honestly played over the years. 40, 20, 34, 65, 135 last year. And then this year, 97, which, again, against his will, like that one was not him. You just look at it and you go, okay, is this kid ever just going to put it all together? So, yeah. But anyway, let's move on here. And before I do, and we talk about another player here, and I'll take the lead on that one. Dom has somebody to talk about.
Guys, let's talk about Jace Medical. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you peace of mind so that you're not just hoping that you have access to the medications in emergency. Jace Medical makes sure that you have the medication in hand. Jace Medical is very, very simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using the code LOCKEDON at checkout on jacemedical.com. Once again, that's JASE medical.com, and use that promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off at checkout. All right, guys, so we are back. Matt, did you say you wanted to talk about this next guy?
Yeah, we'll talk about the Geef, Luis
The big
Rengifo.
Geef?
Yep. My guy, Not a bad season. Not a super fantasy relevant season either. And at times he was, but it just he had a lot of value throughout the stretch on and off the waiver wire, in my opinion. He had 394 at bats, 55 runs, 15 doubles, 4 triples, 16 bombs, 51 ribs, 6 stolen bases, and batted 264, and had about a 50% walk to strikeout ratio. So, like, overall, you look at his numbers, really good baseball player, really good numbers. But through the stretches there, he had some serious valuable times where he was a great waiver wire ad and kind of just rode the hot hand and then kind of, you know, okay, time to move on and just kind of like whatever with him. Rengifo isn't somebody you're going to be really drafting. Like, I don't think you'll draft him at all, especially if the first two guys we talked about leave the team. I don't think that they're going to end up building a team around him. I could see him also getting moved as well. So, depending on where he lands, I may change it. But honestly, Rengifo for fantasy purposes isn't somebody that I'm really excited or look to draft and is not desirable to me at all. But ultimately is the name that's always in the back of my head of, okay, how is he doing this week? Because when he is hot, he's hot.
Damn, Matt, I think we're going to disagree on this one. I love the Geef. I honestly think he's that guy you draft for your bench as a super utility because he's going to be eligible at second, third, short, and outfield next year on, I think, every platform. The guy, he's only 26, going to be age 27 next year. I think if he gets a full, 155 game season, he's going to give you 20 plus homers. He's going to give you 15 steals. The batting average has been consistent at 264 the last 2 years. But what I love to see from Rengifo, he played 127 games last year, 126 games this year. Last year, 79 walks to 17 walks to 79 strikeouts. Then this last season, totally improved the walk to strikeout ratio. 41 walks, 82 strikeouts for Rengifo. That's huge improvement. I love to see when players make an actual change in their approach. I see it here with Rengifo, a speed power combo that's going to be a Swiss Army knife. Honestly, he's going to be a guy I'm taking at all of the ends of my draft next year. Just have him on my bench. Plug him in when somebody's out. You get that little bit of power, a little bit of speed. The counting stats might not be great if he stays with the Angels and we see Ohtani and Trout leave like we're predicting, but I think there is something here with Rengifo. Let's try and keep things moving. We got a lot of names here and not a lot of time. Let's talk about Logan Ohappy, somebody that Matt and I love. Another guy that unfortunately had an injury this year that caused him to miss a lot of time, but he was okay while he was out there. 51 games, 182 at-bats, 23 runs, 6 doubles, 14 homers, 29 RBIs. I don't like the 236 batting average, but, Ohappy was always pretty solid in the minors when it came to batting average. Could see him being like a 260, 265 guy with a good amount of pop. Not really much speed. Maybe in most years he chips in like 5 to 10 steals, but Ohappy is somebody that I currently have as probably too high at my number 8 catcher. Honestly, that's actually going to move down because I have guys under him that I like more. I think he's going to settle in the 13 to 14 range at catcher for me going into next year. So probably looking at Ohappy and more in 2 catcher leagues for next season, but there is a lot of upside here. Actually, you got to change that now. Too high.
I'm not even going to say where I have him because my catcher rankings, I think, need to be reworked. But yeah.
Well, that's what this time of year is for.
Yeah. I sat down a review and I got a little excited what he can be versus what he will be. So, ultimately, I think he could probably finish as like probably the number 6 catcher, but I think that, he actually has to do it. But what he did is a nice little showing of what he could be. Just there's a lot more to play when you're talking about guys like this leaving the team and, is he going to play every day? So it's just one of those things, with Ohappy we're going to have to figure out. But I'm going to move on here. Great take, Dom. So about Mickey Moniak. Everybody's
What'd you call him?
Mickey Moniak.
I think you like jumbled it a little bit the first time.
Probably.
I'm sorry, man. I love you, brother.
It's all good. These back-to-back nights kill me now, but it is what it is. But Mickey Moniak, the fantasy waiver wire darling of the year. Everybody was hearing Moniak to the moon, bull run. This dude's going to be a beast. And he showed out. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he had a good, good showing this year. Like, he did good. Batting average was solid, especially, that first half was at 308. He had 10 bombs, 28 ribs, 2 stolen bases, like solid numbers. And then the second half, he still had a, good outing, but he batted 260. He struck out 70 times in that second half. He had only 4 home runs in that second half to 17 ribs, 9 doubles, which isn't bad actually, and about 14 runs. I mean, the playing time significantly went down, but not didn't significantly went down, but he just wasn't getting it done. I think he just needed to adjust back to after they adjusted. And towards the end, it looked like he was, in September, he had a 269 batting average versus August going 202. So I feel like, for next year, Moniak is going to be somebody that we're going to be like considering where we're going to be drafting him. He's not a top 50 outfielder for me. He's going to be in the 60s, but he's one of those guys that like we're going to be watching to see how his spring goes. We're going to be possibly saying, hey, you might want to go out there and see if you can go get him. But again, it all depends on this team too, because again, if Trout leaves, if Ohtani leaves, yes, it'll open up everyday play for him and whatnot. But at the same time, what's his counting stats going to look like for runs and ribbies? And that could be a serious downgrade, which would then therefore would make him almost on a fantasy desert island where nobody wants to even touch him because, what's he really going to do for you? You're going to look like most of Colorado Rocky players without the benefit, of course.
Yeah, man, I think we're almost spot on here on Moniak. I don't want anybody to forget Moniak was the former number one pick in the whole draft in 2016. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others to develop. This was the year Moniak finally showed out. Let's do his overall numbers in 85 games, 311 at-bats, 35 runs, 21 doubles, 2 triples, 14 homers, 45 RBIs, 6 steals, 280. Very, very nice numbers. Let's see where this team ends up next year. I have Moniak as my number 62 outfielder going into next year. A lot of upside here. He's only 25, going to be 26 for next season. Just a lot of upside here with Moniak. Let's just monitor where things are with the Angels. And honestly, if this kid has an everyday role, he will be useful in fantasy baseball next year. Just the walks to strikeouts kill me. Even in the day and age where you can strike out a lot, you can't have 9 walks to 113 strikeouts. I hope Mickey Moniak really works on his plate discipline in the offseason. Let's move on to Zack Netto. Kind of a rookie that, he had a little buzz behind him, but I don't think anybody expected Netto to be as solid as he was when he first came up, right? I know the overall numbers don't look great. 84 games, 38 runs, 17 doubles, 9 homers, 34 RBIs, 5 steals, 225 batting average. But before the kid, he did deal with an injury. I'm going to pull up exactly what it was because I'm going to be honest with you. I did totally forget what happened to Netto here. Let's see real quick. What was the injury again? Netto, lower back issue for Netto, and he also did strain his oblique as well. So 2 injuries for Netto this year. Honestly, just a tough year for the kid, and I think there's better outlook for Netto going into next season. Kid was always good in the minors.
Yeah, no, I like Netto, honestly. Netto is somebody that I was actually pretty excited when he got the call up. I was like, oh, okay, this kid actually could do what he needs to do. Dom Reggie off what he did this year, and obviously his injury didn't really show what he actually was. But in the minors before getting that call, with only 40, let's look at the year before. Let's look at 2022. 147 at bats, 24 runs, 9 doubles, a triple, 5 bombs, 27 ribs, 5 stolen bases, and batted 299. Now, small sample size, don't get me wrong, but quite honestly, he did it again in 2023. That's why he got the call. I think Zack Netto is somebody that has high upside. But again, what is this team going to look like? That's really the only driving force for me for all of these Angel players is what is this team going to look like come the new year? But Netto might be one of the few bright spots coming out of this team. I actually have him as my believe 11th or 12th outfield. No, I'm sorry, 16th shortstop.
We're a lot higher than I have Netto at 27 at shortstop. I got him a little buried. I'm going to be honest. Might move him up a little bit.
Oh, you got him buried bad.
Still think he's in the 20s though. Shortstop got some good contenders there.
It does. It definitely does, but we'll see. I'll tool around with it, but I think 16 is a fair spot for him. But let's talk about the last guy here, Reed Detmers. The meter is always running with this dude. And this year it really ran. And it ran
all over the place.
Yeah. Sometimes he was giving you the airport trip, and sometimes he was giving you the ride around the corner. But it was not like it was completely horrendous. I got to say, he had a 4.48 ERA with some moments of genius in 145 innings pitched. He had 168 strikeouts, which is nice to see. Well over a K per nine. The first time he's done this in his major league career. Those are positive signs. 4.48 ERA, but his FIP was a 4.13 field and independent pitching. And he was pitching below it, which is also a positive sign. Is an indicator that he could be better. And honestly, 4.13 is only a few ticks off from him being sub 4, which then we're talking about him in a lot better light, especially with those strikeout numbers. I think Detmers has another level, being that especially he's only 23. He's a very young pitcher, and pitchers usually get better with age and maturity. It's not a game of checkers where you're just got to really work on reading the pitch coming at you as a hitter, but how to mix in your pitch mix. But I think Reed Detmers has a great upside for next year.
Yeah, Matt, great take. He was all over the place this year. Some months better than others. The April, March, May, really bad. Very good, strong June. Bad July. Really, really bad August. And a great September, October. Detmer's breaking stuff is great. Needs to work on that fastball a little bit. The kid is still pretty young, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
23.
24 next year. Detmers has all the upside in the world. I love him. I'm going to have him ranked fairly decent next year. But guys, that's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Be sure to look out for a new episode tomorrow. But guys, until then, see you.